Oh
Rampant genocidal maniacs that thrive on suffering.
Bingo!
Hey everyone!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel.
Today we're responding to a video that has been much requested by a channel with over 7 million subscribers.
It's
massive audience.
A massive audience, and the video is called Why Meat is the Best Worst Thing in the World.
Amazing, interesting title.
Very interesting, and we are so glad that they're making a video like this on a non-vegan channel to such a huge audience, because it raises discussion, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and it all begins with a conversation.
Table.
And at the time of recording this video has already had 3 million views. Incredible.
That's a lot of views in a very short period of time about eating animals.
Yes.
So we're not going to respond to every single part of this video because it'll be too long. But basically, I thought that the first majority of the video was very well done.
Definitely. I think it was like 6 minutes and 14 seconds, if I recall from watching it the first time a couple of days ago.
Yep.
Was pretty, not bad.
Yeah,
you know?
I think, they were talking about basically that we don't really know where our food comes from.
Well, we do know a lot about it, but most people eating animal products don't necessarily know a lot about it. Yeah, vegans know a lot about it. That's why they went vegan, of course.
That's right. What was very interesting is that they were talking about how terrible eating animal products is for the environment. I felt like it was a mini Cowspiracy. Cowspiracy is a film about the environmental impact of our food choices.
Which if you haven't seen, it's linked below.
Yeah.
Do check it out. It's mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing, and so this video was like a little condensed version of that, I felt.
Yes, and it showed how animal products were such an inefficient use of resources.
They're totally inefficient in terms of our water usage, our land usage, and also in terms of getting nutrients through our calories. So I think a lot of people would be learning things about eating animal products that they probably didn't know beforehand.
In a very digestible format, like an animated short video.
Yeah. So anyhow, the first part of the video is very good. And then they came to this fabulous part. We're just going to play this now.
There's another aspect to meat. It comes from actual living beings.
Wow. Okay, so now we're getting into more of the ethics, because earlier on they did say
things as opposed to beings.
Yeah.
And of course we know that animals are not things. TVs, couches, bricks, they're things, but animals are beings. They're sentient, they feel, they experience pain and joy, they suffer.
And of course we don't think about this when we're sitting down to the animal flesh or the secretions. We don't think about the living sentient beings behind the products.
Well, it's interesting, the words, even like steak, reduces the being to a thing, doesn't it?
That's
and
right.
Which is intentional by the industry.
Yeah.
Because if we all said, oh, let's sit down to some cow.
Yeah. Which is different though for chicken. And chicken and fish, we still use the animals.
That's true.
The name.
Pigs, cattle and chicken are not the ones writing the history books, but if they were, humans would appear as rampant genocidal maniacs that thrive on suffering.
Rampant genocidal maniacs that thrive on suffering.
Bingo!
It's so true.
That's amazing.
So true.
I can't believe that a non-vegan channel is making a video like this and making that statement. It's like, yeah, guys, you get it. We do terrible things to animals.
What it reminds me of,
away.
yes, as am I, is if a extraterrestrial species were to observe Earth from above and have a look at how we operate, they would conclude exactly
That's right.
what they just concluded there. Rampant genocidal maniacs, thriving off suffering.
We're twisted. Why do we do this stuff when it's not necessary? So that's my favorite part of the video. It's like, yes, you got it in one.
And the reason extraterrestrial species would say that is because of the magnitude on which we slaughter these animals.
Yes.
And also that we don't need to.
That's right.
So
yeah, and they actually talk about the magnitude of killing. They give a number, I think they say
200 million animals are killed every single day for food worldwide.
Yeah. Anyhow, the video goes on to then talk about what we do to animals in factory farms, which is, again, surprising and fantastic that they're going into this detail. They actually talk about mother cows having to, be pregnant over and over again to produce milk, and the babies being stolen. They talk about what happens to chickens, the baby male chicks. They show them being sorted, that the male chicks are sent into an industrial macerator, a grinder. It grinds them up alive. And again, I think for their audience to see this and hear about this would be quite shocking for them for the first time. So
it certainly was for us when we were vegetarian and we learned that about the egg industry. That's why we went vegan.
So, as we said, the first main part of this video is actually quite good.
Yes.
And then this is, I think, what people wanted us to respond to, because it's kind of like, what happened? You were going in one direction quite well, and then we kind of detoured down this. What's going on? So let's have a listen to what happens next.
Steak is amazing. Burgers are the best food. Chicken wings taste great.
What happened to everything we just heard? What happened to these beautiful sentient beings that you were just telling us about and how it's destroying the planet, and we're evil for harming these animals, and what?
Do we want to be remembered in history as the species that said taste trumps ethics? You know, since when is taste a moral justification for needlessly killing a sentient being who doesn't want to die? It's not, and it never will be. But somehow we've collectively colluded to agree that, yeah, let's do this because, 5 minutes of sensory pleasure.
So if we were to replace the situation, replace the violence, replace the victim to anyone else, we would never use sensory pleasure as a justification for hurting another. But when we're talking about animals and their flesh or their secretions, all of a sudden my taste buds somehow justify me doing, horrific things to innocent animals.
Meat satisfies something buried deep in our lizard brain.
I disagree with this. I think what we're craving are things like sweet and salt and those type of things, and it doesn't really matter whether it comes from plants or from animal products. In fact, animal products, the flesh themselves, the secretions, unless we season them with plant foods, herbs and spices and marinades and what have you, and sauces, really we're not craving those, the taste of raw flesh.
Yeah.
So we crave what we eat daily, and that applies to whether it's animal foods or animal products, I should say. It's not food, it's violence, or plant foods.
I was just going to say, we're addicted to sweet potatoes, we're addicted to oatmeal, we're addicted to fruit, because,
and we used to be addicted to the taste of animal products.
Yeah, but because we're eating these plant foods now every day, that's what we crave. So we can change what we're craving in our mind and our taste buds.
Well, our taste buds change every 14 to 21 days or thereabouts.
Yeah.
And also I was thinking, if we still crave those tastes, we can still eat the vegan meats, milks, cheeses, eggs, butters, ice creams, yogurts that we enjoy the taste of.
You're not giving anything up, you're just changing or replacing where that product is coming from. It's now coming from plants instead of animals.
Yeah, like Jemison Scala says, when you go vegan, you give up nothing. You just stop taking that which was not yours.
We hardly ever see how our meat is made, we just eat it and love it.
Exactly, it's the old out of sight, out of mind. And that's how the industry gets away with it, because if they showed the animal's face or what the animal is going through in the slaughterhouse on every package of meat or carton of milk or, item on the menu, people wouldn't buy it. They'd be reminded of who they're eating, not just what they're eating.
Which is the power of the Anonymous for the Voiceless demonstrations, where we're actually showing the public the footage that the industry keeps hidden from them.
It creates joy. It brings us together for family meals and barbecue parties.
Yes, it does, but we can come together as families around plant foods. It's the communing with others, it's the sharing, it's the
food, not what the food is. It's the act of eating and sharing food.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So, and again, it's not food, it's violence. We're eating dismembered body parts of a tortured animal.
And we're also eating disease-forming food. So not only does it bring us together for celebrations, but it also brings us together for premature funerals. Because when you look at the best available balance of scientific evidence, 14 of the 15 leading causes of our death have been scientifically linked to eating animal products. And you can learn more about that by watching some of the videos linked in the description below.
Eating meat doesn't make you a bad person. Not eating meat doesn't make you a good one.
That is true. There are good people that eat animal products, and there are not so great people that are vegan, for example. However, what does not make you a great person or your actions
is when you know the truth and yet you choose to continue to participate in violence and harming animals, other people on the planet.
Because ultimately, what is a good person but the sum of their actions, for example?
Yeah. And,
And their actions 3 times a day are knowingly contributing to the needless killing of sentient beings who don't want to die.
that's not a good thing to do. And the key is the education part, the knowing.
100%.
Because we didn't know once upon a time.
Of course.
A lot of people don't know.
Most people are not born vegan, the vast majority.
We don't know. But once you know, you have a responsibility, a duty to act.
Life is complicated, and so is the world we've created.
Now, it is to a degree, but by the same token, we like to keep things really, really simple. Once you've seen what happens to animals, that can be enough. And it's as simple as undertaking Challenge 22, trying out a vegan diet for 22 days.
We'll link that down below. I mean, these days you go into the store, the same store that you usually go to, and instead of picking up your carton of cow's milk, you move your hand this way and you pick up your almond milk or soy or rice or oat or whatever.
Hemp or coconut or
Same thing with
hazelnut.
all of these products. We now have replacements. So you don't have to start a completely new diet and way of eating. You're eating the same diet in the vegan version.
And we've got a video that can help you with that as well. We'll link it in the description below.
So many resources. Just go
it's
below the
easy.
video.
That's the thing. It's simple. It's not complicated.
So, how should we deal with the fact that meat is extremely unsustainable and a sort of horrible torture?
Go vegan.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah, that's it. What do you mean a sort of horrible torture? Is there a nice way to torture someone?
Yeah.
A sort of horrible torture?
If it
Torture
was
is torture.
That's right. If it was happening to humans, would
weird.
it still be a sort of horrible torture, or would it just be it's horrible torture?
Or if it's happening to dogs?
Yeah.
Does what happens in the Yulin Dog Festival in China?
Is that sort of horrible torture, or is it horrible torture?
For now, the easiest option is opting out more often.
Oh!
Why does it have to be more often?
Dun, dun. And now we go downhill. The easiest option is just to choose vegan. It's not about opting out more often. It's about choosing to stop it. They go on. It gets worse.
Taking a meat-free day per week already makes a difference.
Okay, so yes, it does make a difference, but
Until we have rape-free Tuesdays and child molestation-free Wednesdays and domestic violence-free Thursdays, until we accept those as good enough options, Meatless Monday is not a good enough option either when it comes from the perspective of the victim.
yeah.
And we always must consider these issues of injustice from the victim's perspective, not from that of the oppressor or the perpetrator, which we are if we are purchasing animal products.
And this is exactly the perspective that you're talking about, that this video is coming from in the later stages. Right now, they're saying, me as the oppressor, as the perpetrator of the violence, I'm okay with just reducing what I do to the victim. It's not about us as the perpetrators, it's about the victims.
And sometimes
Simple as that.
That's right, and speciesism tends to cloud our
Yes.
judgment here. So speciesism, if you've not heard of it before, is basically human beings believing that we're superior to non-human animals, and that some non-human animals like cats, dogs, dolphins, whales, tigers are superior to other non-human animals like cows, pigs, chickens, ducks, turkeys, fish, sheep, etc. So that speciesism, that mindset, clouds our judgment when it comes to considering issues of injustice.
And that is how we justify Meatless Mondays, through the speciesist filter. And so again, what you were doing at the beginning, Luca, was changing the victim, changing the violence. So, a rape victim or a child who's been molested or a wife who's been beaten up, we change the victim and we apply the same logic. And it doesn't hold up so well, does it, when we apply it to a human?
Yeah, and the other way of doing it is saying that a technologically superior species visited Earth and treated humans the way we treat non-human animals, and they saw us as food, for example, when they could eat something else, for argument's sake. Now,
If they said, oh, we're not going to eat you on a Monday,
but yeah,
we'd be like, cool for Monday, but what about Tuesday to Sunday?
yeah. What about my mum, my dad, my brother, my sister, my uncle, my aunt that you're eating the other days of the week? It would never be good enough.
No.
If you want to eat meat produced with less suffering, try to buy from trusted producers with a good track record, even if it costs more.
A good track record of I
killing,
don't get it.
of needless killing. All animal products are suffering. It's as simple as that. Taking the life of an innocent being who doesn't want to die is by default the ultimate form of suffering. Can we just stop trying to work out better ways of doing the wrong thing?
Yeah.
At what point can we just collectively agree, you know what? It's wrong to needlessly murder sentient beings, so let's just not do it.
Yeah.
To make an impact on the environment, go for chicken and pig rather than lamb and beef, as they convert their feed more efficiently into meat.
But not compared to plant foods. No animal product in an optimal relative sense is sustainable when compared to plant products. And we can learn more about that in a speech given by Dr. Richard Oppenlander, the lead environmental consultant for the documentary film Cowspiracy, to the EU, and we'll link that below.
And also, we need to think about the individuals behind the slab of meat on our plate. So the chickens and the pigs, they are someone who doesn't want to be on the plate. Now, just because they are possibly more efficient in terms of environmental impact than some other animals, we're still talking about taking the life of an individual. So when we come to it through that perspective, it's never okay.
In the future, science could get us clean meat. Various startups have successfully grown meat in labs and are working on doing so on a commercial scale. But solutions like this are still a few years away.
But we have a solution right now. It's called veganism. We've always had a solution. We don't have to wait for lab meat in the future.
And there are wonderful products already out on the market, sure, not available worldwide yet, but they're getting there slowly but surely, like the Beyond Meat burger, for example, which we trialled in America recently, and that took us back 10 years to when we last ate animal flesh. That was how reminiscent and similar it was in taste and texture.
You've also got Gardein products, and there are so many more brands starting up, and you've got alternatives. We don't have to wait for lab meat. And even if you live somewhere where you don't have the alternatives for meat yet, that also doesn't matter, because you can just eat whole plant foods.
Yeah, or you can make burgers made out of whole plant foods, for example. We've got a recipe video, and there are many you can search for on Google.
You know, again, our taste buds don't justify what we do to animals, and they don't justify what we do to this planet. And so in the future, yeah, sure, that might be an option, but please don't wait for that option. We don't have time to wait for lab meat to come along. We need to make changes now for our health, for the planet, for the animals, for everyone and everything involved.
That would be like people who take part in the Yulin Dog Festival in China trying to justify the continued Yulin Dog Festival by saying, look, we've got some scientists that are working on lab-grown dog meat. That's something for the future. But right now, let's
maybe
let's only just have it 6 days a week instead of 7.
Oh man, when you talk about it that way, when you think about it in that context, it's always from a Westernist perspective, wrong. And that's all we ever have to do, is replace whichever animal we've been conditioned and taught in our culture to think is acceptable to eat, replace that animal with a dog or a cat.
And we can see how arbitrary our morals are, and yet morality is not subjective. Needless killing is always wrong.
For now, enjoy your steak, but also respect it. And if you can, make it something special again.
Oh no, why would you end this way? What's wrong with you? You had so much potential. I'm yelling at the screen.
Again, as soon as we switch the victim, you cannot say that the rapist respects the rape victim, the child molester respects the child, the wife beater respects the wife. No, it doesn't work that way.
There's no respect when we're taking someone's life. There's no respect in violence. That's such a disgusting way to end. And what do you mean make it special again? What does that even mean? I mean,
it's a bit twisted here at the end, isn't it?
I'm really confused.
It
you
is.
respect the animal by allowing the animal to live, by not breeding these animals into existence in the first place, torturing them, mutilating them, and then chopping them up. That's how we respect them.
Maybe what they're getting at when they say make meat special again is, now that you know all of the information that we've just presented you with, perhaps it's for the first time, when you next sit down to animal products, be cognizant of all of that information. Don't just eat it robotically, I guess, and not give it any thought. But that is weird, because once you're cognizant of all of that information, how can it possibly be ever special again? No. What it should do is open up a special place in your heart for the animals who are living, sentient, breathing, feeling beings, and that should make you reconsider eating animal products altogether.
I mean, the animals are special, right? They're beautiful. If you go to an animal farm sanctuary and you get to meet them, you'll see, they're incredible individuals. They are special with their own personalities and just little quirks about them. Like all of us, we all have our own individual things about us that make us us. Same thing with the animals.
That's right, including the dogs and cats that we love and adore and consider members of our families. We look at them and we know that they're unique individuals. You know, that it's as simple as that. They're special.
Yeah.
Not eating them.
No.
Eating them is not special.
No. So, I feel so confused. It was a really weird ending to an otherwise pretty good video.
Yeah. Ultimately, there is no moral justification for needlessly killing a sentient being who doesn't want to die. Taste is certainly not, even though it's the most commonly used objection, it is the least justifiable.
That's right.
You know, sensory pleasure does not justify what we do to animals.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is our response to this video. Check out all the resources down below in the description. Everything you need is there. Easy. Go, go, go. Check, check, check.
Not complicated at all.
No.
Give the video a like, share it around to help raise awareness, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
Yes, and don't forget to turn on notifications so that you are notified every time we upload a new video.
And remember until next time that going vegan is not the most we can do.
It's the least we can do, and that is special. See you next video.
Bye, guys.